Did you have much association directly with Arthur C. Clarke? With Arthur C. Clarke?
He was around. We met him, and he didn't do any directing, but we conversed with him and talked with him and liked him very much.
I have an Arthur C. Clarke bit. After we did Washington, D.C., and we did New York, and then the next day we flew to Los Angeles on a 707. I remember that. And so I was sitting, they flew us first class in those days. Now I fly coach because I don't work anymore. So I'm sitting here and Arthur's sitting right next to me. Keir's right behind me and Ray Lovejoy, Stanley's editor. And Arthur C. Clarke turned to me, having just seen the film in New York that night. And it was such an incredible moment. He looked at me and he said, you know, I always knew Stanley was incredibly talented, but I didn't have any idea it would be that great. And I said, well, Arthur, I always knew it would be great. I really did. I talked to Keir about it before we made the film. When I got the job, I said to my agent, Stanley Kubrick, wow, what do I have to pay him to do the movie?
I'll add one story about Arthur C. Clarke. The year that the first moon landing, the CBS, the major American network, television network, decided that they were going to need some human interest stories while they were waiting for them to come out, because they didn't land and then come out right away onto the surface of the moon. They stayed in, they had to do certain testing and so on, and they knew it was going to take hours. So I was doing a film of the Bahamas, and they flew me up to be interviewed by Harry Reasoner, and the other interviewee was an actor who had played one of the earliest science fiction movies, Buster Crabbe, who was Flash Gordon. So they had the most recent actor to portray an astronaut and one of the earliest actors. So we were interviewed. Then, just about the time we were finished, in fact we did finish, somebody ran into the room that we were in, the studio, and said, "They're coming out! They're coming out!" So they led me into the control room. And control room is just a battery of television sets, you know, consoles. And I sat down and watched Armstrong come out. But to my right, there was somebody sitting there watching also. And I looked over, and it was Arthur C. Clarke with tears running down his cheeks.
Next question.
Hi, I'm a big fan, obviously. I was just wondering, how different was the film from when you initially read the screenplay and started discussing what it was going to be and what you pictured it was going to be against what it ended up being on the screen?
I don't exactly understand your question.
I'm sorry.
You're saying what was the difference between what we thought it was going to be, or what it was in the script, or what it was?
Yeah, what's the difference between your expectations when on set working on the film against the finished project?
Well, when you work on a movie, I had seen quite a few of the rushes, and so I had an idea of what the film was going to look like, but I hadn't seen any of the Dawn of Man. Obviously, we would walk around the studio. We made this in London, in Wormwood Studios at MGM. And there were models of, you know, the ships and everything around. You know, you'd be walking down a hallway and there'd be working on the model, Tony Masters. And so I have an idea of what, but I have to tell you, after I saw it for the first time in Washington, D.C., I was in a hotel, and the head of the studio, I have to say, he was a wonderful guy. He stood with us all the way. Once Stanley flew me from London into into New York, into Los Angeles at MGM for a weekend. And I went around, they were having a lobby fight for the domination of the studio. and he asked me to knock on doors and try to convince people to back us, because Stanley knew it was going to take a lot longer to finish this film. So anyway, I got in an elevator right up with Bob Whiteman, and he had a sycophant with him, who was, there's a lot of sycophants in them. Guys that hook on somebody, they ride up, and then the person starts to die, they get up from the top floor, So this guy is, the sycophant's there, I'm there, and Whiteman is here. And the sycophant looks over at me, and he says, "Man, where did you guys go awry?" And I love that moment in my life, because I knew what we had. And I looked at him and I said, "We went awry?" I said, "It's just a matter of time." And he said, then Whiteman said, "Well, no, I love the film," which I'm sure he did. And it was a really interesting moment, because 5-6 weeks later, one facet in it, John Lennon of the Beatles bought a ticket to every performance for 1 year in Leicester Square. It was on hard ticket for 1 year. I don't think any film's ever done that. And he thought that everybody in the world should see 2001. And he had his office give away those 2 tickets to every performance. So there you go. Can you imagine?
Next question.
Keir, being a fan of his previous work before you were involved with Kubrick, I was just curious, did you get to see The Killing when it first came out, its initial release?
I couldn't
Did you say The Killing?
The Killing, yes.
What?
The Killing.
I can't hear you. I'm a little hard of hearing. You reach 82 and sometimes.
I was one of Kubrick's earlier productions, The Killing, do you recall?
The Killing? Stanley Kubrick's The Killing.
Stanley Kubrick what?
The film The Killing. You haven't seen it?
Let me tell you something else. I'm not only hard of hearing, but I have a little trouble understanding the Australian. I'm sorry, I'm the one with the accent, not you, but...
Born and bred, mate.
Gary, you were a big fan of Kubrick before 2001.
I had worked on a movie called Spartacus as a stunt warrior. But I did see one thing that was interesting. Kubrick, we first started working in the mountains, and Daniel Mann was directing it. And I was a stuntman in those days. I wasn't an actor. And so I'm up there with all these muscle-cut guys, that they were supposed to be the warriors. And Daniel Mann is shooting in the mountains, and Douglas and Mann didn't like each other. And so Douglas it was his film, he was producing Spartacus. So he fired Daniel Mann. And at that time, one day Stanley had said to me that Stanley was a really interesting human being. I've never known anyone like him. He was a chess player, he was a poker player. He was supporting Chris John and his little girl by playing cards in LA, and I grew up playing poker in high stage. So we talked about it a little bit. Anyway, Stanley started, Kirk Douglas fired Mann and hired Stanley because he'd done Patrick Florida. He directed. And so one day at Universal Studios in LA, Russell Manning, the head camera, won Academy Awards and everything. Stanley set a shot. You have to understand this. Stanley Kubrick was a photographer from what?
He was 60 years old, was hired by the only other magazine that was as popular as Life magazine as a staff photographer. He was still in high school.
So this cameraman, Natty, Kubrick sets a shot, certain lens, certain thing, sets it right here. And he comes back, after the lighting, it takes 20 minutes, 30 minutes, comes back, and he looks in the camera and he says, "That's not the shot. What happened to it?" And Natty says, "Well, I moved it a little bit. I thought it'd be a hell of a lot better over here." Kubrick went straight to Douglas and said, "Kirk, I'm really happy that you hired me. It's a great time in my life to get this wonderful job, but I can't work here." So the whole thing, no, this is how much Douglas thought of Cooper. He moved the entire production to Spain. Yeah, have you ever seen Spartacus, any of you?
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. Anybody else?
Next question.
Hi, I was just wondering, were there particular films or even literature that Kubrick recommended as, I guess, pre-reading for the film? I know with some films they show, they do screenings of the films during the production for the cast and crew. So I was wondering if there was anything like that in 2001.
Were you given any material, or advised about material to look at or read before filming 2001? Were you given, before you went to start filming in London, were you given any research to do?
Yeah, we were given information and documents and things that we had.
Well, we had a script, of course. How do you, in word, again, getting back to what I said at the very beginning, like the Beethoven Symphony, how do you describe in words what we ultimately see in this film? So it was just the vaguest idea, and it really was just because, you know, it was, we had meetings where we discussed what our backgrounds were, the characters, the fact that we had double doctorates in various scientific subjects, and also the fact that both of us would have psychological profiles whereby if something terrible happened that would cause any one of us to run out of this room screaming, we would only maybe raise an eyebrow because we were so steady in our... But you know, it was such, you know, they were very long hours. Gary did see some rushes. I hardly ever, maybe one day went to see rushes. So that's why seeing this film 2 years later was such an extraordinary experience. It was like it was a new film that I had, seeing all these people, you know, there are no computer-generated special effects in this film, not one. It didn't exist in those days. Everything you see in this film was filmed directly.
You were dropped from a height, weren't you? The sequence where you come down.
Well, yeah, today it would be, they would have a generated computer effect. When my character, when Hal won't let me in and I have to go into the emergency airlock, it looks like I'm weightless, like I'm blown back and forth as you watch the film, but actually I was dropped 2 stories, free fall, at the other end of a cable, but you couldn't see the cable because my body is between the camera and the ceiling. So it was just me coming toward the camera, and there was a circus roustabout who had measured the drop several times, and he tied a huge knot. And so on action, I dove toward the camera, free fall, and meanwhile, that guy up there, sideways, he's not in camera range, is waiting for the first knot to reach his gloves. When it does reach his gloves, he jumps off the platform up there, and I go hurtling back up to the ceiling, and he comes down, and his feet hit the ground, he lets go again, and waits for the second knot. And that's how that effect was done.
That's pretty clever, huh?
It's a good thing you didn't sneeze or something.
When you watch the film, check out my expression for just an instant. There's a smile, and I think a lot of people interpret that smile as being, oh, thank God I've got the lever that allows the oxygen to fill the airlock. No, I was just relieved that the stunt was over. And thank God we only did it. We did it in one take. Thank God.